Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Tracy with JDL Threads, and I first want to start off by saying Happy New Year everybody. Happy New Year. We're 3 days into the new year and I hope everything is going well for you. I had to get all cute today and put a little lipstick on for you guys so I wouldn't be so dull today. But anyways, this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my 1 year review with my Ricoma MT1501. I've had it for a year now, and I'm going to tell you my good and my bad with this machine. Not all bad, you guys, not all bad. Mostly all good. So first thing I want to start off by saying is to any of my new viewers, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to check the channel out. To any of my recurring viewers, thank you so much for coming back and checking out more of my videos. And to those who subscribe to my channel, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping me reach one of my goals, which was to get to that first 100 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to all of the videos that I want to put out for you guys. As you know, I do have the Ricoma MT1501 embroidery machine. It's a 15 head embroidery machine, 15 needle embroidery machine, and I just absolutely love it. I'm sure you guys heard me say in the past that I started out with a domestic one needle machine. I had a Husqvarna designer diamond embroidery machine, and I have seen these commercial machines in like the mall and Liz and those type of stores that do embroidery. But you guys, I just have to tell you that I was in love with my one needle embroidery machine. I didn't mind changing that thread for all the different colors. It was just took a little bit of a process. It was a longer process, but hey, it gave me still great results. As you can see here, this is a jacket that I made a long time ago. Well, these I purchased from Joann's, but all the rest of the designs I embroidered these on my single needle embroidery machine. Love that machine. It was also a touchscreen machine, which is one of the features that I did like a lot. And just like this embroidery machine, Ricoma MT1501 embroidery machine here, where we also have the touchscreen here. Now let me go ahead and give you some of the good and the bad. So I had to kind of write these down so that I could kind of keep track of what I'm going to talk about here. So the first thing, again, is I went from a single needle embroidery machine to a 15 needle embroidery machine. And so that was a plus. You have all these cones of thread up here, and all you have to do is put in your different colors on your display machine, your display up here, to follow along whatever it is the stitching shows out in your printout in your embroidery software. I happen to use Chroma, which is a software that came with this embroidery machine, but you can purchase any of the digitizing software machines, excuse me, any of the digitizing software, and any of them will work with any of these machines. You just have to decide which one of these machines is the best machine for you guys. You got Ricoma, you got the Melco, you got the Burden, you got the Tajima. They're all great machines. You just got to go for what works for you. So that was one of the bigger advantages that I had, coming from a single needle embroidery machine to a 15 needle embroidery machine. Now let's talk about some of the problems that I experienced on my journey with this machine. Now, the very first thing out the gate after I had my class with Ricoma online is, I had to go ahead and put that newly imported design that one of the designs that I might have got offline that I wanted to stitch out into the embroidery machine to actually have it stitch out. Wrong. first problem I couldn't figure out, and you guys, sometimes it takes me, I have to do things like a few times before I can get it. But everybody learns different. Some people might get it right away, some people may not. But I couldn't figure out how to get that DST file to load into the machine. And so I did get it, the RDE file onto my embroidery stick to put into the machine so that it can read the file, but I wasn't putting in the right file. I didn't know how to go in to the software and change it to that DST format on my embroidery stick so that it could go ahead and actually stitch out. So what did I do? First thing I knew how to do was ring, 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 call Ricoma's helpline. Hey, something's not right here. And first thing the guy told me was, okay, just take a deep breath because there's nothing wrong with the machine. It's just something that you're not doing. I said, okay, but what is it? What is it? And he walked me through the steps on how to get that DST file loaded onto my embroidery stick. I keep calling it a stick. I can't think of what the real name is for this thing right now. Flash drive, that's what it is. He walked me through how to upload that DST on the flash drive, which I don't know, in some of my videos you guys will see my flash drive hanging off to the side over here with all my little touchscreen pencils. But yeah, he walked me through that, and so then I was good to go. I was excited. I had finally got over that one hurdle of how to actually upload the design into the embroidery machine. So that worked out great. I did a few designs, everything was going good until, guess what? Then I ran into the next problem. The next problem was the embroidery machine would just be sewing. I'm sorry, I do sewing too, but it would be embroidering, and it would go dun, 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 stitch a few stitches, and then this darn red light here on the machine, beep, beep, beep. It would just go stitch, 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 beep, beep, beep. I would back it up, stitch, 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 beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? What is going on with this machine? It's got to be something wrong with this machine, right? What I come to find out is, you guys, what everybody is always talking about on these channels, all the influencers saying the same thing, and even the people at the help desk. Tension. You got to dial in your tension. So what I found out was that my tension was just way too loose, right? And so every time it would try to stitch, it wasn't picking up that bottom thread on the bottom because the needle was still engaged with the thread here on the top, but it wasn't picking up that bottom bobbin thread. And I like to try to figure things out on my own before I finally call that help desk, because you know, you got to just keep trying. And so one day I got so frustrated, and I'm like, well, man, what could it be? Because you know, everything I had already did my my tension test and everything was good, but I do a lot of embroidery, you guys. I do a lot of embroidery on everything. And you know what? You would think that these tension dials wouldn't move, that they would just stay in place, but you got to remember that there is a lot of motion going on that embroidery machine when it's stitching those designs out. It's doing a lot of shaking, and doesn't seem like that it should be happening, but it does happen where that tension just could kind of get a little bit loose. And so all you need to do is you need to go back in whatever needle is giving you the trouble with making that embroidery design flat, and you just gotta turn that dial until you dial that tension back in. And then I would always think like, maybe, oh, I don't want to turn it too much, because it seemed like to me it was just going to be too tight. The thread was going to be too tight, and then I was going to have that problem. But you just got to keep dialing it in until you see those stitches starting to flatten back out, and boom, you're on your way. And this is also why, you guys, I like to do a lot of test embroidery stitches before I put it on like the real garments that I'm trying to make, right? So that we can kind of get it dialed in. All right, so that was the one issue, that the tension was too loose. right? So then there's the other issue where, okay, so now you got them dialed in and they're not loose, but now you might get that bird nesting, right? On the top of the needle bed right here, right? Okay, and so what does that mean? That now maybe your tension is just a little bit too tight, right? So you should go through and you should check like another needle to see if it's doing that same thing, because maybe you use one needle a little bit more than the next, and you might only have that problem on one needle, you might have it on a few needles. But okay, so now you need to just go in and loosen your tension a little bit to give you a good result for that. Okay, so that's two of the issues that I finally had to figure out. And hey, I'm back on my way. I'm back to sewing. I'm back to embroidering those designs, putting designs all over everything, because you know I like to put designs all over everything. Okay, and so then another good thing that I did like about this embroidery machine was that you can store so many embroidery files into the touchscreen up here as like on my home embroidery machine. The only difference was with my home embroidery machine, I was able to see all the designs right there on the screen. Let's say if I had a strawberry and a rainbow, I could see them right there on the touchscreen. Whereas with this Ricoma machine, it'll just put it in a file folder and it'll say strawberry and a rainbow. Now, if you're like me and you have 150 designs that you got to go through, so now you got to click, 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 click through each design on those folders. And even though you can go in and you can tap the design that you want, I try to give them different names if they're similar designs so that I can try to find them. But you still got to go in there and search, search, search to try to find the design that you're looking for. Not a bad thing, just a little bit of a tedious thing, but hey, that's okay. We can get over that one too. So that one was one of the disadvantages of this machine, is that it didn't put all your designs right up on the touchscreen like my home and embroidery machine did, my Husqvarna Viking, where it showed you those designs right on the display. But the good thing is, this is the MT-1501, the newer embroidery machine, the MT-20, which is a 20 needle embroidery machine, 01. I think it's called a 2001, MT-2001. On that display screen, guess what? Now that one is doing the exact same thing that I said that this one is not doing, and it's bringing up all your designs on here. You can see them all laid out on the screen, so that you can just go in and pick the one that you want. So that's a good thing. Is it a bad thing for me? Not really, because I can still get to what I need to get to. It just would be a much simpler process if it was right there up on the screen where I could just go to it, boom, without even thinking about it. But still doesn't make me love this baby any less, because I love this thing, you guys. Okay, and so we talked about the needles being too loose and the needles being too tight. We talked about the thread being raised and how to adjust your tension. And then now let's talk about your bobbin thread, right? Because sometimes you might have an issue where your bobbin might not be wound as tight as it should, and that might give you an issue. If you're like me, I like to wind a lot of my bobbins, because since I have my home embroidery machine, I still have a lot of bobbin thread that I want to go through before I start purchasing the already wound bobbins for the embroidery machine. So I did run into some issues where the string was caught intertwined in itself, and that gave me an issue where it wouldn't sew out properly. So I had to check that, figured out how to unravel that, rewind the bobbin thread around the pigtail, put it back in, and boom, now I'm over that hurdle too, you guys. So what it really all boils down to is you just gotta learn your machine. You just gotta learn it. Like anything else, like that new job you're on, new machine you're on. You got to keep at it, get on it every day or whenever you can, but just keep getting on it more and more and more until you figure out how your machine works. Because guess what? Even though this is an MT1501, the next MT1501 might not respond to the same way the issues that you're having on your machine as the next person is having on their machine. So everybody, you just got to learn the machine, right? Got to keep practicing, keep learning your machine. Okay, so now we've got through bird nesting, we've got through the bobbin thread. So let's talk about threading the machine up top. When you first get your embroidery machine, Ricoma already sends the machine to you with the thread going through the proper thread channels on how it's supposed to be threaded, which brings me to my next issue that might give you some problems. Sometimes when you're embroidering, if you don't have your tension again down in just correctly, your thread might like jump out of the little groove here and might jump into the next groove, and it's really 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 sensitive that if it jumps into that next groove, it sees like, hey, something is not right, and then that will also cause you to have an issue. So then you got to go back and just double check and make sure that all your thread is going through the guides correctly, it's going through this groove correctly, it's not jumped over to that next groove, it's going down into this hole correctly, and that everything is threaded properly in order for your machine to give you the best stitch out and the best design possible and to work properly for you. So you got to always check the path of your thread to make sure you're going to have the best experience that you can have. So let's see, what else can I need to talk about? Oh, oiling your machine. You got to make sure that you are oiling your machine per the manufacturer's directions. They give you this little sticker over here to let you know what spots on your machine needs to be oiled and how often that they need to be oiled. So you want to keep your machine oiled because you do have a lot of metal parts that are always touching, and you don't want this stuff to be grinding, and then that's just a whole another problem in itself, metal heating up and doing all other kind of things. So guys, you want to keep your machine oiled. And what I like to do is, if I'm going to go ahead and oil my machine, then I like to do a whole bunch of test designs so that that oil won't be dripping onto a garment that I'm trying to sew out and have for myself. It can just drip all over my practice garments, and then I take my practice garments and like wipe the excess oil off of this bar down here. But just keep your machines oiled, you guys. Keep your machine oiled. So let's see. I think I've covered everything. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the hoops. Now, on my home sewing machine that I used to have, another reason why I did love that machine was because unlike some of the other domestic machines out there, it was just like the Ricoma machine, where is when you put the hoop in, and I do not have one of the hoops down here. They're all upstairs in my sewing room. This is my embroidery room down here. But it would also, once you put it in to the machine, you would hear that click, which is another plus for this machine. Once you slide that embroidery hoop into the frame, you hear it click in, then you know, as long as you've got it clicked in properly, you're not going to have any registration issues because you didn't get your hoop pushed back into the same spot. So now it's not going to stitch starting off on the point that you left off on. It's going to stitch a little bit over and give you registration issues. No, once you push that embroidery hoop back in, let's say you're doing an applique, and you might have an issue, so you might want to take your hoop out. Once you push it back in there and hear that click, you can just be reassured that your embroidery machine is going to start stitching in that very same spot that you left off in before you took that hoop out. So Overall, what can I say, you guys? Love it. I say it a million times. I love, love, love this machine, you guys. And it's my passion. My friends used to tell me a long time ago when I had my home sewing machine, oh, you ought to get on YouTube and start doing YouTube channels to help other people out. Because guess what? It's all about teach one, reach one, teach one, or however that saying goes. But it's all about helping the next person along their journey so that everybody can have the kind of success that they want to have. Don't just keep these ideas all to yourself, because you got many influencers on YouTube that I learned out how to do different things on. How I ended up getting this machine, because when I was searching for a machine and I just happened to put in embroidery machines on YouTube, and bam, this one popped up. And like I said before, I never thought that this kind of machine I would be able to have, because I thought they were only made to have in commercial businesses, until I saw Alan Wade doing all of his YouTube videos. Thanks a lot, Alan. And I was like, oh, let me check into that. And Ricoma made it very easy for me to have this machine through their finances. I am not an affiliate of Ricoma, you guys. I do speak highly of this machine, but that's only because I love this machine. I try to get on this machine as much as I can to do the things that I want to do. So again, like I say in all of my videos, you guys, whatever your passion is, whether it be embroidery, whether it be the t-shirt game, whether it be rhinestones, whether it be sublimation, whatever it is, get into it, you guys. It's a brand new year. Get into it, get motivated, and stay up on your craft. So overall, I give this machine an A plus, A plus, A plus. I just love it. Find some things you guys like to do and stick with that. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to my videos, you guys, because now that I've reached that 100 mark subscriber, we're going to try to get to that next mark, which is the 200 and the 300 subscribers. And I hope you guys are enjoying my videos as I go along, embroidering on all the different types of projects that I can think of, showing you that it's just use your imagination, because this machine can do it all. It can do whatever you want it to do. Use your imagination and shoot for the stars, you guys. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I'll see you guys in the next video, and keep working on your craft, you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.